Well, I'm definitely concerned about the ongoing feminization of men. There's a blatant attack, I think, on masculinity, and there is a rapid decline in testosterone levels, and I think it definitely serves our government, corporate overlords to have a bunch of weak and feminine men. They're way easier to control. And I do think our environment, it's filled with like estrogenic chemicals, plastics, junk food. We live very sedentary lifestyles. I fall into it too. But I think the media, like in its quest to reshape society, loves to just demonize normal masculine men, labeling them as toxic, as she said, toxic masculinity. And we can certainly have a discussion on that. Let's see. It's the testosterone level's been declining for decades. I guess they're tracking it somehow. Sperm count and strength in men, like, also decreasing exponentially. And apparently, I think I'm like probably 90% of this next statistic. There's a striking reduction in grip strength among young men. Look at these fucking dainty gamer hands. It's all my fault. I'm probably the blame for that. So I'm trying to turn things around myself, working on diet, fitness. So I'd like to take a moment to thank the sponsor of this video, Black Forest Supplements. If you can get a zoom in on this, Nick. Boom, other zoom in. Yeah, look at that. So they've got this desert plant. It's called Cistanche tubulosa. Toxic masculinity, let's talk about that. You said you wanted for us to come back to you.
Okay, well, going around the table, I have like now some more thoughts. Also, like with your little promotional thing, I would ask men to please take those instead of illegal testosterone that's not prescribed, because that can cause heart failure. Just a side note, but like, for example, I know some men would do that out of trying to be more manly. I think that's what I mean by toxic masculinity, is like you were saying, it's like masculinity is like a natural thing, but how it's like now defined is changed. And I think it's like more when men are overly trying hard to be more of a man. Like, you shouldn't have to try to be a man. You should just be you. You know?
Be you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask. So, okay, I hear this term all the time, toxic masculinity, right? I rarely ever hear discussions of toxic femininity, although you admit it is a thing, although I never hear it in the discourse. When people say toxic masculinity doesn't mean masculinity is toxic, if you could separate the toxicity from masculinity, what would be left that's not a gender-neutral trait?
Being kind. Wait, what? Wait, what's not a gender-neutral trait? Wait, I thought what was a gender-neutral trait?
So this is my position is that I don't believe in the term toxic femininity. I don't believe the term toxic masculinity. I think people can just be toxic regardless of your gender. And I don't think it's particularly helpful to use these terms, because I think it tends to demonize typically men, because you very rarely hear the term toxic femininity, and it demonizes masculinity. So my question is, if toxic masculinity does not mean that masculinity is toxic, if you can separate the toxicity from masculinity, what would be left that's not a gender-neutral trait?
I still, like, this all just sounds like word salad. I'm so confused by what you're saying. I'm so sorry.
Okay, what is something that men do that is toxic, that is exclusively something that
just men do?
Essentially.
I mean, there's a lot of...
I think that makes a lot of sense, but okay.
Okay, I know we were discussing this a little bit before this, but like, for example, if you go to like the biology of like human attraction, it's like women do look for men that have resources. And I guess you can also like tie this into toxic femininity, is a lot of women will almost, some women will abuse men for their resources, but some men will kind of use that as like a weapon in a sense. It's like...
What do you mean? Use what? Their resources as a weapon?
Yes.
what they like will buy a girl a purse and throw it at her? What are you talking about?
Well, there's also like sometimes you can like, you know, guilt trip people with that stuff, or sometimes you can make someone so dependent on you, like dependent on someone's resources. I feel like this is getting really off topic. I have no idea. Like,
Well, no, but I'm trying. The conversation was about masculinity. You referenced toxic masculinity, so I'm trying to get at what precisely you mean when you say toxic masculinity. Because I'm arguing the position that I don't believe there's toxic masculinity. You said, whoa, you had a big reaction. You're like, that's a hot take that there's not toxic masculinity. So I'm asking you to provide evidence for the toxic masculinity that you assert exists.
okay, see, I can't use a lot of what I can very well argue without it getting bleeped out.
Are you talking about people deleting themselves?
No.
Are you talking about essay?
For example, I'll try to use soft terms here. As far as mental health and stuff, it's sometimes toxic masculinity doesn't so much. I'm not referring to. Man, I don't know how to say anything without like triggering things or.
Who are you gonna? Who's gonna be triggered?
No,
It's
you're
okay.
triggering words that we can't
You too.
use.
Yes.
Okay. All right, fine.
So sorry.
I mean, that sounds like a cop out, but okay. I guess another questions for you on this. Do you believe in like some of these other terms? Like, do you think mansplaining is a thing?
I mean, I like to use that term all the time. Like, I get caught up in mansplaining to men a lot of the times, and I laugh
you
at myself.
mansplain.
Oh, yeah. It's just, like, the over-explanation. It's also funny, like, when you tell a guy something, and then they turn around and tell you exactly what you just told them, but then they, like, break it down, and it's like, well, I was the one that just told you that, like, very clearly. I understand.
Do you? Let me ask you a question. Do you think toxic masculinity is a sexist term?
No.
Do you think toxic whiteness would be a racist term?
No.
Do you think toxic blackness would be a racist thing to say?
I don't know.
Whoa, fuck! Jesus Christ. I clicked the wrong button. Do you think toxic Asianness would be a racist thing to say?
I mean, man, okay, I am not in a position to, I've never heard those terms.
Would it be, but do you think it would be racist to say that there's toxic blackness?
Well, yeah, I don't.
Do you think it would be do you think it would be hold on. Do you think it would be racist to say toxic whiteness?
Well, in all my arguments with toxic masculinity, I feel like a lot of toxic whiteness kind of plays into that, so I can't really say.
Wait, toxic whiteness? Nick, keep it on her, please. Do you think toxic whiteness plays into toxic masculinity? Is there toxic heterosexualness?
Yes.
Okay.
You're like literally making me sweat, like with this.
It's a little stuffy in here. I mean, the doors aren't open.
Well, like the
Speaking of which, Nick, if you could let a little air in, please. Wait, so, okay.
Metaphorical hot potatoes making me feel like a hot potato.
Okay.
Okay.
But so just to clarify.
Uh-huh.
Toxic whiteness.
Uh-huh.
Not racist. Actual thing, toxic whiteness.
Is it okay to say, like, since I'm white, I'm allowed to think that? I don't think that's an argument. I don't know. Well, just statistically in the United States. There. Can I say that?
Can you say what? Oh, so okay, just toxic whiteness is just a U.S. thing.
Actually, no, I take that back. You could, like, go through history.
The other colonial powers, like...
Yeah, you know what? I don't even know what you're asking.
Great word. Was it a good word to throw in the colonial thing?
Colonialism, yes, thank you.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah, I just gave you a layup there.
Yeah,
okay.
see, this is...
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. I'm bad with words. That was needed.
Okay, so there's toxic whiteness.
Yes.
But and that's not racist.
No.
But toxic blackness, is that racist?
No, I think that's just like not a thing. I don't
Okay.
know.
What about toxic Latino-ness?
No, I don't
Toxic
know.
Asian-ness?
No, I don't know. I'm looking at this like.
Okay. All right.
What are you getting at?
That's like triggering. It's bringing me back to like middle school, like
Wait, middle
lab.
school?
Yeah, when we go to like have to learn how to type and like the little labs. I was so bad at that. I'm sorry. The Windows.
Oh, the noise thing? Okay.
Yes.
I triggered you with my Windows reboot sound?
Yes.
Okay, good times.
Okay.